Stand firm.
I cannot! She is with child, all my hopes are dead. I cannot bear to be shut up year after year until I am old, and with it I must escape.
No, it's impossible. You must give them no excuse to bring you to trial.
Then I will go into exile. Help me, you must help me. Go to Dunois. He will arrange matters. I will go to France. I will be welcome there.
Now be silent, be still. I swear to you that if you hope to ascend the throne of England, you must never leave the realm.
Your Majesty, the succession. If it tires you to speak, will you give a sign? Is it to be the King of Scotland?
Good evening. When Drake set forth to do battle with the mighty Spanish Armada, he was having a friendly tiff compared with the sports-loving men of Britain who last Wednesday night had to face hordes of marauding wives. If your phone calls are anything to go by, whole families were at each other's throats. The carnage was dreadful to behold, and all because of one woman, this woman, Glenda Jackson as Queen Elizabeth I in the new BBC Two Wednesday night series, Elizabethan. The trouble that she caused, of course, was due to her clashing with Sportsnight with Coleman on BBC One. Now, I'd have thought, Mr. Herbert, that was a pretty clear alternative there, but I don't think you did you?
No. My first consideration is that the BBC always seems to think that if you've got an interest in sport, you can't possibly have an interest in anything cultural at all. There was no quarrel about it in our house. We both wanted to see both programmes.
Now, Mrs. Ringrose, if my notes are correct here, you said you felt like killing your husband on Wednesday night. That's when you rang
did,
up.
Mr. Barratt. When I saw him pitching in there with Manchester City, I knew I'd had it. But that's what it is. Sport is more than an interest, isn't it? It's an obsession. And I couldn't quarrel with an obsession. Not at that particular moment, anyway.
What about Mr. and Mrs. Ballard? Did you come to blows?
No, not quite, but I won, but just. Yeah. Along with three-quarters of my mates at work who won.
Did you not have your heart in the fight, Mrs. Ballard?
No, I did a crossword.
Do you think the average woman really gives a damn? The average woman really cares very much about all the theorizing which is being done by various women on behalf of the women's liberation movement, be it you or T. Grace Atkinson or Kate Millett. I often wonder whether it's even coming near the average woman's psyche, whether she even is reading what you're talking about. Not reading literally, but reading it in the terms of anything getting through it all.
Well, let's face it, liberation isn't a reading list. It doesn't mean joining a library. It doesn't mean turning into an academic on women's rights or something like that. If I were to say that I don't think women care very much, that would be tantamount to saying I think that women don't care very much about anything. And if that's true, then you can gauge the magnitude of the problem, that apathy is no state to be in. The thing is that women may not care very much about the word liberation as it's been presented to them, but it's being very ineptly presented to them. They do care about a better life. And what my book says is, carry on asking, but remember that the answer is in here.
You want a copy of the Female Eunuch?
As you'll see from our next selection of 1971 telly highlights, which we've called A Choice of Viewing.